Okay, this is Mr. Boyer coming to you live here from my room. Actually, I'm not really live. I mean, I was alive when I filmed this, but I'm not alive now. Well, I am alive. I'm not live though. I am alive, but at least I think I'm alive. I mean, probably I am. But anyhow, let's continue here. We're going to actually do some story problem-ish type things. So it says you earn $4.85 per hour. Define a variable and write an expression for your earnings. So since we're talking about hours, you could use T to stand for the time, or you could use H to stand for hours. I'll just say let H equal the number of hours that you work. Okay? So if I work 1 hour, it would be 485 times 1. If I work 2 hours, I would have 485 times 2. 3 hours would be 485 times 3. And so on and so forth. I think you see a pattern here. H hours would be 485 times H, which we would just write as 4.85H. Okay? So that is an expression to describe how much money I make. You tell me what H is, how many hours I work, and I will tell you how much money I have. Okay. So the next one, you sell magazines. Your base pay is $20 per week plus $1.50 per magazine. Define variables and write an expression for your earnings. So, since my earnings depend on how much I sell, I need a variable to describe how much I sell. So I'll say let X equal the number of magazines I sold. So number of magazines sold. And basically my pay is going to be as follows. I get $20 right off the bat. And I'm going to add $1.50 every time I sell a magazine. So if I have X magazines, the total money I get from the magazines would be $1.50 times X plus the fact that I get $20. So my overall expression would be 1.5x plus 20. Notice there is a fixed amount and there is a variable or changing amount. Okay, and some variable. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, but later on, when we get to linear equations, we're going to see that a lot of times in certain expressions, you will have a fixed amount and you'll have an amount that changes, and this is how that's going to look. Okay, so I want to define variables and write equations using these tables. So I have a number of items sold, so I will let N equal the number of items sold, and I'm going to guess that if I take the number of items sold and multiply by the cost of one item, so the number of items sold times the cost for one, which I don't know yet, that's going to give me the total money earned. Basically, I'm assuming there aren't any other hidden earnings that I have, that my earnings are based completely on how many I sell. So I need to figure out the cost for one, and I'm going to do that by doing the following. If I have 3 items earning me 42 cents basically, I want to divide that into 3 parts. So I'm going to take 0.42, divide it into 3 parts, and I get 0.14. So my claim is that the price or the earnings that I have on one item would be 0.14. And we can verify this by taking 0.56 and dividing it by 4 and seeing if I get the same thing. And I do. And then we can take the 0.7 and divide that by 5, because there are 5 of them that give me those earnings. And it looks like the earnings that I made on any one of them was 0.14 for all of them. Now, I haven't checked all of them yet, but I will in just a second. But 0.14 is the cost for one item. or it's not the cost, but it's the earnings I have on one item. So if my variable is N, the number of items I sell is N. If I take 0.14 times N, that will give me the total money that I earned. Okay? And that is how I could create this table. Now, let's actually verify this, okay? So I'm going to use my calculator and show you something on here. If you hit the button that says,
You've got mail.
I have mail. If you hit the button that says table, and if there's already something there, you just hit clear. And my claim is that I take 0.14 for one item and multiply that by the number of items. Now, I said it was N, but I don't have an N button, but I have an X button, so I'll just use X. So 0.14 times X, that's what I'm saying is going to give me the total money earned here. So let's start at 3 and let's go by ones. And you have to make sure that you have highlighted the word auto instead of ask, because if you do ask, it'll just type in whatever, it'll make you type in the numbers as you go. But if you do auto, it'll start where you tell it to start. So I hit enter, and if I sold 3, the money earned was 0.42. If I sold 4, it was 0.56. 5 was 0.7. Let's see if the expression we wrote works for 6. It does. And let's see if it works for 10. And I get 1.4. So it looks like the expression that I wrote was correct. So you're going to do the same thing for, well, let's do one more together, and then you'll do the same thing for the third one. So you're going to take the numbers in this column and figure out what you need to multiply them by to get the numbers in this column is basically how it's going to work. So I take 14.8 and divide by 2, and that'll give me the number I have to multiply by. Okay, so 14.8 divided by 2. Whoa! Let's do that. So hit clear a couple times. And then 14.8 divided by 2. And I get 7.4. So my claim is that if the number of hours is H, 7.4 times H equals the money earned. Okay, just like for the last problem. So if I type this in my calculator and use these numbers for my input, these should be the numbers that I get for my output. Let's see if that works, okay? So, and if it doesn't work, then maybe this isn't how the money is earned. You may have to come up with a different expression, okay? But we're going to keep the expressions pretty straightforward here. So I hit the table button, hit clear, and then 7.4. And then since I can't use H for hours worked, I have to use X for the number of hours worked. And let's start with 2. And we'll go by ones again. And we got to make sure auto is highlighted, which it should be from last time still. And you scroll down to OK. And 2 gives you 14.8. 3 gives you 22.2. So apparently my expression seems to be working so far. 5 gives you 37, which is what I have here. 8 gives you 59.2, so that's good. And let's check 11, 81.4. So basically, you're going to figure out, and I'm going to let you do the third example. Okay, and I want you to show it to me in class, all right, so that I can see that you're following along here. So basically, you're going to figure out what to multiply the first column by to get the second column. And then the numbers in the first column, you're going to write a variable for them. Maybe you'll call it X. And then you're going to come up with an expression, just like I did for these other two. So see what you get, and I will talk to you again soon.